But the good news is it all still tastes really Merry meet and welcome. Today we're going to be taking on the 1950s diner special. Gentlemen prefer breakfast sausage and gravy. So we're gonna go ahead and get this going for us. So it's really just a biscuits and gravy recipe. So we are going to be making our buttermilk out of plant-based milk and a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then for the sausage part, we're just gonna use sausage vegan gravy. What? We're going to use vegan sausage and then that's it. Everything's going to be gravy. Wow, that was a lot of mine. And of course we are using vegan butter for all of this, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm pretty excited. Yeah, let's go. All right, so we have our flour already in our mixing bowl. We're gonna add our salt that apparently is sticking, and then our baking powder. And we're going to use this, mix it all, make sure it just gets incorporated well. That's it. That's why this is just a nice, good step. I think it's almost crucial. If you don't have sifted flour, this is also a good way to break up any clumps if you didn't already pre-sift it yourself. Okay, and now the next part, we're gonna wanna make sure we have clean hands because we're going to go ahead and take our butter. And so it's supposed to be frozen. It is already like super hard out of the fridge, so I don't like to freeze it past that because you're gonna have to work it with your hands. So I don't like doing more. And then as you can see though, it still clumps up together even though it's still hard. So it's really like not the best of both worlds. But yeah, so you're just gonna take your hands. This is how you get that flaky texture, is by doing this. Frozen butter, you do get more of that flaky texture because then while it's baking it like melts, and so it doesn't completely become incorporated as quickly into the dough itself as it's baking. So that's why frozen butter is technically better, but it is harder to work with, and I'm here to make myself happy. So if I can cut some tiny corners, I'm going to. And then you want to try, see how like a lot of this is still flour? You want to try to really get it to be a good amount of flour and butter together. So that's why I'm kind of doing this. Just to make sure it feels a little bit even. Butter pockets are delicious, don't get me wrong. So I'm gonna call that good. Remove anything that I can. Then I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. Well, because we're gonna be folding. So do we just make everything messy? I can't do that. I have to go wash my hands. We'll get messy again. If you're someone who wants to keep your nails like a little bit longer rather than cutting them completely, but you cook a lot like this, having a nail brush just wherever you wash your hands or at all your hand washing places is so convenient and nice, and it feels a little luxurious as well because like how often do you use a nail brush, really, you know? Anyways, continuing on. So now we're gonna go ahead and pour in the buttermilk into our mixture here. Yep. Gonna make myself a bit of a well because that's like the basics they teach you, and I feel like not a lot of people like listen to it. And so I wonder if that comes from making pasta. You know how when you're making pasta, it whatchamacallit, oh my gosh, words. If you make like if you've seen pasta being made, like the flour and egg pasta, I know probably here like people aren't doing that themselves, but you typically see how they have all the eggs in the center and then do that. I feel like that's where the idea of a well came from, is that it was just like, I don't have a bowl, I can just use this. Use the flour to create the thing, and it's that same kind of concept. So okay, liking this, liking this. Okay, so this is all incorporated. Now I'm gonna wipe that off real quick. Sorry, I'm using like a huge dish towel today instead of my bamboo towels. We're going to flour this. And then it looks a little sticky, so I think it's gonna take quite a bit of the flour up. So I want to just really flour this. I'm realizing I don't necessarily have a rolling pin over here with me right now, so I need to go grab that. But yeah, so this is probably more than enough flour, if we're being honest. I'm just not in a good place to like have small things like bother me, so I'm just like, meh, let's just caution it. Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna go grab that rolling pin, and then I'm just prepping everything before I go ahead and dump it over here. That way it's kind of like I'm ready before it. This is how I'm battling my anxiety today. Is just doing all the prep work before I need to start doing the actual activity itself. Okay, so she says you just want to do this until it becomes smooth. I don't know, maybe it's the southern in me, but I feel like most biscuits, like, you want lumpy. Because here's the thing, you could just put this in a pan, spread it out like a raised 9-inch, like an 8x8 or whatever, like a square pan. Spread this out, and then you got biscuits. And that's how my grandma would do it sometimes. If like things were just like chaotic and a lot going on, she'd just be like, okay, nope, I'm making breakfast for way too many people right now. I'm gonna go ahead, do this. And they come out delicious. They're still really good. So okay. Ooh, yeah. This is what I mean. Like, okay. Yeah, it doesn't need too much, so this is really nice. Again, I'm probably doing like too much, but I'd rather this than it like stick to the thing. Okay, and so we can kind of see how it's getting that smoothness to it that she's talking about. I'm personally not going to do too much more because it is still coming off on my hand a little bit, and I don't want these to get too dense. Okay, so with that, we're gonna go ahead. Gonna definitely have a fun mess to clean up later. That's part of the thing about making biscuits from scratch, though. I do think you can find nowadays a good amount of biscuits that don't have eggs or butter in them. So anyway, sorry, I'm starting to roll it again. This is exactly what I mean. This is why, like, sometimes I'm just like, is this worth the effort? Like, why don't we add enough flour at the very beginning? You know what I mean? Am I the only one who thinks like this? But I feel like every recipe where you have to roll out something, it's always going to be sticky. And it's like, why don't we know the exact amount that we need for that to help it not be sticky? Okay, so she says you want about 1 inch for these. I don't know how much 1 inch is. Sorry, I was just like, no idea. So I'm just going to go for uniform. Same size. Okay, on that note, let's get those little bits off. They'll be fine. Everything will be fine. I'm honestly just having a good time, so if I'm not talking a lot or if I'm just like kind of crazy right now, this is what we're doing right now, is we're just going to be rolling this out and making these biscuits. So I'm using a standard glass. I don't have any cookie cutters, actually, ironically. It used to really be a part of my life, but not anymore. Anyways. So yeah, so try to get what you can. Okay. Definitely could have floured the rim of this ahead of time, and that probably wouldn't be happening. And then I'm just gonna put this on my cookie sheet over here. I'm hoping, she says 12 serving or 6 servings, so it probably is supposed to give about 12 of these. Ooh. Okay. And since they're biscuits, they shouldn't spread it too far apart in their thing. Like, they obviously will puff up, but they're not going to, like, they may start to touch if you put them too close together, but they're not like your standard cookie that spreads. They're meant to go up, not out, but they will puff out a little bit. Okay. So here we go. We got 6 from that last one. So we probably will get about 4 from this one. Ooh, I'm not liking how sticky this is. Probably gonna have to get a little bit more flour. Now here's the fun part when you try to recreate the same thickness, right? Especially right now, because I'm trying to very subliminally use what I have. Sorry, I was just thinking, like, that's how I'm trying to apply, like, that concept to my life, you know? Like, I wish I could be more zero waste. Okay, so that feels to me like that, or looks and feels like the same thickness to me. So let's go ahead. I'm hoping to get at least 4, like I said, and then we should be able to grab 2 more from the last one. At least. And you can always bake the rest of your dough in just like a ball form. These are just like, oh, maybe we'll make these nice kind of situation. Oh no, that one's kind of stuck. Okay, so like I said, I just want to get at least 2 more onto here. This feels like it definitely could have made, can make even more. Again, I want these to be the same thickness. So yeah, I'm just gonna prepare. Oh, I need more flour. I felt it stick to it from the other side, and I was like, oh, that's when you know it's definitely too much. So, okay, here we go. So we need at least 2 more, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and probably bake a couple more on a mini pan. Okay. Yeah, should, oh my God. Everyone's okay. This is why we're trying to take it nice and slow, because our hands are feeling a little shaky today. Everything's fine though. Okay, so we're gonna take that edge, because see, the way we took the thickness from here and rolled it out to where we still have thickness on this end, so it's gonna be a more even cut around. Since we were more focused on just making sure we could get a cut versus needing it to be perfect. I feel like maybe these aren't 1 inch and that's why. But that's okay. Alright, so on that note, I'm gonna go ahead, finish this. We're going to preheat our oven at 375, and then we're gonna bake these. As always, I encourage just checking out like how long you're going to be baking them for. I feel like it's never at the exact time, at least for my oven. So this is recommended for about 10 to 15 minutes. While it is preheating, we're going to actually go ahead and put these in the fridge as well. That's going to help with that firmness and making sure that they puff up and form in the right way. So with that, I'll see you soon. Merry meet again. So it's super rainy outside, so even though I have, like, I don't have the same natural light I normally have, so I'm trying to get us enough lighting. So we have this dual lighting to hopefully combat my shadow, but also the shadow of the cabinets above. So that's why you kind of get this weird view, so please forgive me. You guys are so easygoing, so thank you. But with that, so in here we have Gardein Ultimate Plant-Based Breakfast Sausage. And so for this, we're going to follow the cooking instructions for this a little bit. We're going to adjust them somewhat. So we do have a teaspoon of oil, and it's going to be heated over medium heat. We're going to, we place those frozen patties in them, and then we're going to cook them covered. And it says to cook them covered for 6 minutes, turning occasionally. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook them for 3 minutes like this covered. We're going to flip them, and then we're going to break them apart when we flip them, and then continue cooking them covered for 3 more minutes. After that, it says to carefully add 2 tablespoons of water and to continue cooking covered for 5 to 7 minutes, turning occasionally. So they'll just be crumbled at that point. So we're just going to cook it fully and see how that goes for us. So let's go ahead. I'll just let you know. So this is just going to get covered, and I'll check in with you when we are turning them. Okay, so you can probably hear the rain outside, maybe. We're gonna go ahead, flip these, and then start breaking them up. Whew, it's a little hot, so I'm gonna lower this just so that since it's literally over a flame, you know, so just so that the flame is not so close to me. Ah, I'm so sorry. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do our best, break these up. I might grab a metal utensil instead if this doesn't work out so well. But yeah, and then we're going to continue cooking these for 3 more minutes. And you can see we're already getting our grease and our fat there. So that's the whole point of doing this over the stovetop, is to get that. If you were like someone who wanted to keep these whole, you totally can. Her recipe actually pulls the sausage out and doesn't add it back in. But if you want to have the sausage in your recipe, that's why you would want to go ahead and crumble them up. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this, doing it with 2 hands, making it more stable and hopefully faster. And I'm going to put the lid back on for 3 more minutes, and we'll check in with you then. All right, we're back. So we're gonna now add about 2 tablespoons of water, or 1/8 of a cup. Very carefully, you wanna be careful with oil. It always reacts with the water in that sizzling manner. We're gonna cover, and then we're gonna let this continue cooking for about 5 minutes since it's already super crumbled. It is kind of a lot in there, so I am actually going to take it out. But anyways, we'll check in with you soon. All right, so a lot of it kind of already cooked out, so I'm a little nervous about that. We're gonna go ahead, add 1/2 teaspoon of flour, and work on making a roux. This is awesome. Everything is sticking together. So just a moment. Okay, so I left some sausage in there, and then we have that roux, and so you can kind of see how the flour is getting mixed in with that oil. That's exactly what a roux is flour mixing in with the fat in order to help make a thickener for the gravy. So we have milk on the side, and we're going to be adding that in for ourselves today. So I'm feeling so anxious right now because I feel like I don't have enough of the grease, and so you're supposed to cook the roux for about a couple minutes. Just really help cook the flour, but since this pan is already so hot, yeah, so just kind of wait for it to be fragrantful, and then we're going to add in our milk. Okay, so that's our milk added. Sorry you're at a weird angle now. Obviously I was having issues trying to keep it at the other one. Also, I wanted to explain, now that I'm at a much calmer place, is that, I left some of the sausage in there because I felt like all the oil, all that good sausage grease had already really cooked out, and so I was afraid that we wouldn't really get any of the flavor. So I added some of the sausage, the really tiny bits, and just kind of kept them in there. So that's why those were in there, but I did take out the bigger chunks because I did note, I was like, you know, this will be a little bit more difficult to make. So it's been a minute since I've made sausage gravy. You know, it's not vegan, and it's a extra to kind of buy those vegan products, especially when it takes time to make it, when I can just kind of cook it myself. So I haven't really had this meal in a really long time, so I'm very excited about it. But But yeah, we're gonna go ahead, cook this for about 2 to 5 minutes and just wait for it to thicken up. Then we're going to add salt and pepper to taste, of course. I'm personally going to go ahead and mix up a couple of veg eggs. Those are that egg yolk replacement. I think they'll be perfect for this case because then I'm going to go ahead, put our finished bagel, oh my gosh. I'm gonna make some coffee for sure, but I'm going to have the biscuit, have the gravy. We're going to put that veg egg on it as if it is an egg yolk, because that's essentially how you eat biscuits and gravy, right? Or at least that's how I like mine, is mixing it all together. And then we have some little cilantro to top it off. So I'll check in with you when it is all assembled. See you then. Merry meet again. So here we are. So we can see, so I don't think I was supposed to get 12 biscuits. I think I was supposed to get 6 and then just bigger, but I think it works. And then you can kind of see my gravy did not thicken up. I definitely think half a teaspoon of flour was too little. I ended up adding cornstarch later to help thicken it up, and obviously you can see it did not really support it. But the good news is it all still tastes really good. So I'm gonna go ahead, enjoy this breakfast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.